Hey there, I'm super excited to be able to come to you today and give you a little bit more information on the CellCore Biosciences Roadmap to Health and its foundational health approach for your clinic. I'm Bob Nesbitt and I'm the Northern California Business Development Specialist for CellCore Biosciences. So at CellCore Biosciences, creating foundational products that work is what we do, and restoring hope and health is who we are. Now, I've had numerous conversations with many of you practitioners recently, whether you've been with CellCore for a while or you're brand new. And it's been surprising to me how many of you don't fully understand the foundation that CellCore was built on. I see many of you using some of our great single products, things like Para 1 and Para 2, Biotoxin Binder, and Mito ATP, which are absolutely fantastic to add to your clinical practice. But where we actually see people making transformational changes, not only in their practice, but in the health of their patients, is when they truly understand this roadmap to health and the power of the phases. So you see, the foundation of the company was built on the story of Dr. Todd Watts and really lends to the understanding of the why behind CellCore. You see, Dr. Todd Watts himself was diagnosed at the age of 28, much like myself, with Epstein-Barr virus. And he dealt with some health challenges over the next several decades of his life. And it wasn't until he was in his 40s that his health started to take a dramatic downhill spiral, leading to chronic fatigue and other joint-related issues that were really debilitating. And it wasn't until he was diagnosed with Lyme disease that he sought to find the best products to not only change his own health, but to also change the health of his patients in his own clinical practice, which was a turnaround for both of those. So you see, he'd been using a lot of great product lines, like I'm sure many of you are using in your own clinical practices right now, right? But he just found that they were lacking the depth of what he needed to really change people's lives. So we have this foundation. So foundation really of CellCore is this idea of foundational medicine versus functional medicine. Foundational medicine is really a precursor to functional medicine, to where we're not stepping on the clinical toes of products and protocols that you may be using for hormone issues or digestive problems, or maybe even autoimmune conditions, right? Our focus here is to create this baseline or homeostasis so that we get all of the organ systems working properly at the cellular level, as everybody needs proper organ function. So we're clearing out all of this white noise to clear the body of parasites, environmental toxins, radiation, heavy metal, molds, and so on, before you can even get into organ-specific work with your patients. And in fact, about 90% of our practitioners in the CellCore system find that their clinical outcomes improved by about 85% in following this approach of foundational medicine, even before they address any single specific condition or organ system. So what do we want to do? We want to get all of our organs, tissues, and glands, which are basically filtering systems, like our kidneys, liver, and lymphatic system, and even our stomach and intestines, to be all absorbing nutrients properly, optimizing mitochondrial function and cellular energy before we even get into anything more patient-specific, as all of these things are either breaking down nutrients for assimilation or they're filtering something, as our bodies are always filtering. So I use a couple of analogies here with CellCore's approach, and one of them is looking at gardening. If you want to plant an absolutely beautiful organic fruit and vegetable garden, you don't simply take the good seeds or even the organic starters from this year's garden and plant them in a midst of all the debris and trash from last year. You have to clean all that stuff up, making sure you have good, fertile ground, so that when you do put those good plants and seeds in the ground, they're will have the opportunity to grow and proliferate, right? In very much the same way, if you've ever done any rehab on a home that may look like this one here. Maybe you're flipping this home as a rental property, or you're rehabbing this home that you want to keep as a dream home, right? And you don't look at this house and go, yeah, let's just start painting the walls this color and let's put down this carpet and what type of tile and granite do we want? It's not even ready for all that kind of stuff. So we have to start with that prep work. We have to go in first and clean out all that junk. And many times we even have to get down to the studs and replace the drywall and pulling all that stuff out so that we can go in and choose all of those individual products like you use in practice to make it the way you want. So we have to do the same thing here when it comes to our own health, in that we have to clear out all of that junk before we can go and put in good quality nutrition and supplements into our bodies. So foundational medicine comes in and clears out all this debris, the mold, the rotten wood, damaged walls, and gets it ready for paint and all those things in restoring gut and organ function. So how do we do this? With CellCore Biosciences, we follow the clinically proven foundational medicine roadmap to health, which is based on mitochondrial function. And so we go through these 5 distinct phases before we even adopt a more functional medicine approach. Then we have this drainage funnel, and we have to follow the body's drainage funnel. How often have you either spoken to a patient of your own, or maybe yourself, for example, or maybe somebody you know who's gone through a detox, and they felt like death when they went through it, right? Because, and they swore they would never go through another one because they just felt horrible when they went through that. And how often is this because they haven't opened up all those detoxification pathways like digestion, liver, and bile function, kidney function, lymphatic flow, before they even started ridding the body of toxin? And how often through auto-detoxification will the body reabsorb and recirculate those toxins? So no wonder why they felt so horrible. So we want people pooping on a regular basis, and we want them to have regular bowel movements and optimizing phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detoxification. So if people feel bad when detoxing, it's because they're doing it all wrong. So we need to open up the pathways in a certain order, just like we have here, so we can absorb toxins and empty this trash, right? It needs to be done in a proper order. So coming back to the roadmap, we start foundationally with these 5 phases, and phase 1 is our energy and drainage funnel, which is kickstarting energy production, as the roadmap of health is based on mitochondrial function. So this allows every organ, gland, and tissue to be optimized on the cellular level, since you cannot detox without energy. You have to have energy to detox, as well as even minerals. So how do we do that? So in phase 1, we have all these components here, all these products here in phase 1. But first, let me explain a little bit about our products. I'm not going to get too much into the science here, but nearly all of our products have its own unique blend of bioactive carbon extracts of humic and fulvic acids. These are programmed to carry out an assigned directive. You can think of them as an intelligent adaptogen. In our bioactive carbon binders, they can be taken with other supplements. They can be taken with food, and they won't deplete the body of nutrients. And in fact, because they are attached to this carbon molecule, they are high energy. And not only do they bind, but they restore, direct, and protect tissue where chelation has occurred. It's really quite phenomenal. So in phase 1, these bioactive carbons do all of this with these key foundational products shown here, like our bioactive carbon minerals and MitoATP, so that we can upregulate mitochondrial function. Then we want to control systemic inflammation, and we want to start purging the body of some toxins. But then also use some potent binders so we're able to pull those toxins out from the body. And very importantly, we want to be sure the bowels are moving and supporting bile production so that people are not reabsorbing those toxins. Then from here, we move into phase 2. And in phase 2, a lot of the products from phase 1 come along for the ride here. So phase 2 is more gut and immune centered, but we're still using the bioactive minerals and MitoATP. But we're also then going to really start targeting intestinal parasites with the Para 1 and Para 2 products. The carbon-bound kidney and liver support is now brought in too. Then we also bring in biomolecular oxygen here, as to not deplete the body of its essential oxygen reserves, as herbal formulations and this whole process actually require oxygen. The oxygen product is very versatile and can be used other than orally. It is also known as the Swiss Army knife of Cellcore and is also a molecular hydrogen product as well. Then next we have phase 3. And once again, you'll notice that many of the products from the other phases still come along for the ride here. We continue to use the minerals and the MitoATP, and we continue with Para 1, but we replace Para 2 with Para 3, which is a more broad spectrum and works more systemically, addressing various other microbes and parasites. We also use Vired Chem Binder now to go after some environmental assaults that we are faced with today. Carbon-bound lymphatic support is also brought on here as well. We're also going to incorporate some bioactive carbon iodine. Now, iodine is incredibly important for metabolic energy, and especially when we're talking about thyroid function, because iodine's importance of T4 to T3 conversions. Again, due to the bioactive carbon the bond here, this is unlike anything else on the market, as it also addresses toxic halogens like fluorine, chlorine, and bromine, while providing proper iodine to iodide ratios. In phase 4 is where we really start looking at more comprehensive systemic detox. We're still controlling systemic inflammation and binding of all those environmental toxins, but at this point we're really also targeting heavy metals, lead, mercury, PCB, phthalates, and even glyphosate, which is so prevalent even if you eat an incredibly organic diet with organic fruits and vegetables and meats, since we are affected by that because glyphosate, unfortunately, is everywhere. We can remove it, but we are constantly being exposed to it. It's in our global environment, and so we're going to be targeting those elements to create systemic detox. So phase 5, most patients are going to go through at least phase 1 through phase 4, but it's for those who are doing more specific work related to Lyme disease and some of the associated co-infections that we're going to move into this phase 5 with deeper immune and targeted support for Lyme and company in those other co-infections that we have. But we highly recommend everybody to complete the whole protocol to address hidden stealth pathogens and infections. Here's a typical case study, which I think practitioners and patients love to see real-world examples. This is a case study of a patient from one of our great practitioners in the Midwest who does comprehensive blood work, and a new patient came in and they ran some labs, and the patient was dealing with type 2 diabetes, some digestive issues as evidenced by the use of Prilosec. He was on 2 different blood pressure hypertension medications, one for his cholesterol and triglyceride issues, and then he also had been diagnosed with hypothyroidism as evidenced through the Synthroid here. He was a heavy smoker and a heavy drinker. He was overweight. A BMI based on his height and weight was at almost 28% body fat. Now, the doctor did not go after any of those specific conditions, and in fact, the only nutritional changes that was made was a somewhat modified elimination diet by limiting complex carbohydrates, and also because the patient wasn't willing to make a ton of changes, which we find quite typical, right? But in following that foundational treatment and in doing a post-lab panel, before even addressing any of the specific issues, we can see that most everything normalized, and the patient himself made the decision prior to that follow-up lab panel to remove himself from all of the medications. So you can see that his blood pressure had come down, and everything with the exception of some of the iron and some cholesterol and triglyceride issues, everything pretty much normalized, and he actually lost 23 pounds and 5% body fat in the process. Now, going back to the roadmap to health, we can see this is where we see life-changing results with these roadmap to health and the practitioners that incorporate these phases, where we see dramatic and faster changes in their clinical outcomes. So I hope this helps you in getting a little bit better understanding of how you'll be able to incorporate the power of the phases and the protocols into your clinical practice. I encourage you to attend an ECO workshop. CEUs are now in the works, so you'll be able to even learn more on how to get the most from these foundational products to produce exponential clinical outcomes in your own practice. New products are also going to be released at ECO. And we also have an awesome dropship program, in case you didn't know. And we also have a Cellcore Practitioners Only Facebook group, and also resources that are available within your online account as well. Then we also have live with the doc Q&A sessions every first and third Thursday of the month. Do you know of anyone else who might be interested in our foundational products? And invite them along with you to come to ECO. I'm available to do one-on-one coaching and training more in depth with the products and the protocols. But I would encourage you to start using the power of the phases and perhaps take a couple of new patients, yourself, or even a staff member, and start with phase 1 and see how quickly people's lives are changed and how much their energy and digestion improves just with the simple foundational approach. So that concludes the presentation here today. I hope you found this useful and gave you an idea of what is going on with our foundational approach here at CellCore. If you have any questions, please reach out and schedule a time with me so we can chat further. I'm here to support you so that you can succeed by using this foundational approach, the roadmap to health, the drainage funnel, and the power of the phases with your clients. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.